evening. The particular issue, I think, would benefit if we had a discussion about your rights and responsibilities. So in the agenda, there's number 2. It's a suggestion for an executive session. You would need 4 of the 5 people to vote.
I
in favor of
I
going-
move that we go into an executive session. All in favor?
What's the reason?
It's to discuss reasons for good cause shown to grant the extension on the appeal. It's a focused legal issue. There's a lot of case law on this, lots. And we want to get it right.
So falls under E.
Yep, 4056E.
Yep.
Consultation with your lawyer.
Okay.
All in favor? All against? 5-1, we're in executive session. I understand the public
At 45 days, that's when.
Whenever.
Tell me when. I assume when. Hi, welcome to the April 7th Board of Appeals meeting. Dearly beloved, we gather here because I'll just give a brief, and I'm going to let Tim, our city attorney, explain what happened. We came in, we had a meeting. We made a decision. That decision was being written up by our beloved city attorney, and an issue was identified. Now let Tim take over from there.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. Tim Pease here, representing the board this evening. As the chair mentioned, I think it was, my notes show that it was November 30th that the Board of Appeals met to consider an appeal by Mr. Carl Brooks regarding a decision of the planning board that was verbally voted on June 5th, 2024, granting certain permits. The planning board issued its written decision on June 11th. At the time that I was advising the Board of Appeals, I had not looked at the potential timeline issue. It was only after our meeting, when you made a decision on the substance, that I started to look at the timeline and realized that the written appeal was filed on August 14th, which is substantially more than the 30-day deadline that is in your Board of Appeals ordinance. In that ordinance, appeals must be filed within 30 days unless there's good cause to waive that 30-day period. That's a jurisdictional issue. That's something that the Board of Appeals, in my view, can take up any time. So even though you had issued your verbal decision on November 30th, I felt that the board needed to consider whether the appeal was timely. And at that point in time, I consulted with the chair, and we made a decision to allow the parties, and by parties I mean Mr. Brooks and the developer, to address the issue. So really teed up the issue and said, what is your response to this issue about a potentially late filed appeal, and whether there's good cause for the Board of Appeals to waive that requirement. I received initial responses from Mr. Brooks and from the developer on January 16th, shared those with the chair. I then invited Mr. Brooks and the developer to respond to each other's filings. I received those from Mr. Brooks on February 3rd, from the developer on January 29th. And then a few days ago, Mr. Brooks on his own sent an email addressing some other issues around good cause, and the developer made a supplemental submission earlier today. I provided those to you in writing. You have those in front of you in the executive session we just had. You had a chance to look those over. So, Mr. Chair, tonight, it is on the agenda to have a public hearing and consideration of whether the good cause exception would allow you to accept this appeal again. My reading of the timeline, and I don't think it's disputed, but the parties will have a chance to say their piece. But at a minimum, the appeal was 64 days late, if you count it from the written decision. But if you count it from the verbal decision at the planning board meeting, a meeting that Mr. Brooks did attend, then it's 70 days after the deadline. So I think with that, I'll ask if you have any questions of me first. And
No, I'm just gonna establish the facts that we're gonna rely upon here. What was the date of the planning board's, decision?
They voted on June 5th, and they signed the written decision on June 11th, 2024.
And what date did Mr. Brooks file his appeal?
His first written submission as an appeal was on August 14th.
And you indicated that Mr. Brooks was in fact present at the meeting on 6/5.
The minutes show that he spoke at that meeting, and shortly thereafter, the planning board voted on that project.
Did the record reflect anything about the appeal period when you went back and,
I don't recall that, Mr. Chair.
okay, doesn't have to, I was just curious if it was. All right, part of the record we're gonna go on is those dates, I don't think anybody disputes those dates.
So what happened on August 14th?
So the records show that Mr. Brook made a written submission to the town indicating that he would like to appeal. And I say indicating because I think there was some back and forth, according to the record, before he finalized his appeal. But I'd say the earliest that a written appeal was made was on August 14th.
Okay,
That was how many days after
that would be 64 or 70, depending on which date we use. The June 5th was the meeting and decision. He was told on that date that they were gonna grant the developer's request. On June 11th, the city issued a written opinion, and we assume it went out in due course of business. And then on 8/14 is when he filed his appeal, which was either 64 from 6/11 or 70 from 6/5. So you can use those in your opinion. But for the record, I've received 6 submissions and reviewed them before this. I have, from Carl, I have received 1/16/25, reply to Tim P's issues, Kyle Brooks. I have a February 3rd email to Tim P's from Kyle Brooks. I have an April 1st email from Kyle Brooks to Tim P's. We have Drummond and Woodson's submissions, and those are dated January 16th, 25, to the Board of Appeals, January 29th, 25, to the Board of Appeals, and April 7th, which is today, which we got today. And those are all part of the record, and they've outlined their arguments. Is Mr. Brooks on today? Is he here today?
He usually attends by Zoom.
Yeah, I know. Did he know, he knew about tonight, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna assume it's his intent not to attend. We've got their arguments. I would ask Carl if he wants to add anything, but he's not on, so I will ask the attorney for Drummond Woodson, Edward Kelleher. Do you have any, do you want to add anything, or do you want to rest on what your written submissions say?
Let me just emphasize a couple points, if I can take a second.
Take your time.
I think the recitation of the dates is completely correct. I don't think there's any argument that this appeal was not timely filed. It was clearly untimely. With respect to the good cause exception, the burden is on Mr. Brooks to show that he had good cause for delay. That's clear from the text of the ordinance, section 1304 of Article 13, Chapter 56 of the municipal ordinance. Says that the board may extend this time period only upon a showing by the person seeking an appeal that there was good cause. So the burden is on Mr. Brooks to come forward with some evidence of good cause shown. He's made blanket assertions that his health kept him from being timely in his filing, but he has to produce more than just an assertion that his health kept him from doing this timely. He has to document in some way and provide some evidence to the board that he had a medical condition that rose to the level of good cause that allowed him to be relieved of a very clear appeals deadline. Now, presumably he has doctors or medical personnel who could have offered a note or a letter or even an email describing what his medical condition was and why it incapacitated him during this time period. He mentions in one of his filings that he had severe pain in July of 2024, but most of July of 2024 was after the actual appeal deadline, no matter how you count it. And Mr. Brooks has had multiple chances to offer that evidence when he initially filed his appeal, when he responded to my letters and to Mr. Pease's initial letter to notice to both of us that this hearing would take place, and again tonight. And we don't have anything in the record, I think, that would allow the board to conclude that good cause exists, other than, as I said, a naked assertion. Mr. Brooks has mentioned that there were conversations with the town staff that gave him the impression that he had more time to file his appeal. I think those arguments can be dispensed with pretty easily. Maine law is quite clear, and the ordinance is quite clear that municipal officers can't extend that deadline. Only the board can extend the deadline. And there are cases that I've cited in my filings where the Maine law court has rejected assertions by appellants or applicants that municipal officers have the power to change ordinance either in a substantive or procedural manner. And then a couple broader final comments. My client didn't get notice of the pendency of this appeal until November 19th. We were under the impression that we had planning board approval and continued normal development activities, including spending money on professional planning services and engineering services. Mr. Black from LB Development is here tonight. He can talk more about those.
Listen. Right to the chase. Timing issue.
Yeah.
I don't care about what you guys didn't do, and didn't get notice of. Timing issues on this appeal, please.
Okay. And then I think just sort of finally the bigger picture from a broader process point. I think if you let this appeal go forward, other appellants and applicants are going to be aware of the fact that this appeal was allowed to proceed on pretty thin evidence, essentially no evidence of good cause shown. And I would be concerned about about setting up the prospect of difficult decisions down the road.
I'm not worried about our precedent and what the impact on this decision is for others. I'll just tell you that. Anything
That's
else
fine.
you want to say on the timing issue?
Not at the moment.
Anything else you want to say generally?
No, I don't believe so. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Nope, okay, thank you. Now, public, you get a brief comment period. The issue is this a timely appeal? Period. I don't care what your personal opinions are. Does anybody want to comment on whether this is a timely appeal? Seeing no response from the audience, notwithstanding sufficient requests. All right, I'm cutting right to the chase here. The facts are the facts. The dates that we can rely upon were given by Mr. Pease. 6/5, a decision is made. 6/11, a decision is written and distributed. 8/14, there's a notice of appeal. City managers and city officials cannot extend the appeal, only we can. And we were never asked. So it's either 64 days past due, and the timeline is 30, or it's 70 if you will rely upon 6/5. Based on those facts and the laws that we discussed in executive session, I'm going to motion that this appeal was not timely, and we deny the appeal. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Does Steve want to comment or vote?
No. No, I think, I'll just abstain.
Okay. So it's 4 voting, which is the quorum, and 1 abstaining. The appeal was not timely, unfortunately. It doesn't matter what our decision was. The bigger issue is whether it was timely. It's, as I explained to them, they're judges of the facts, and sometimes when you judge, you might make a decision you don't like. We made a ruling on what we thought the Board of Appeals, not the planning board did. Doesn't matter. The developer got a valid permit, he can go on. Now, obviously, the appellant here can appeal our decision. I'm not gonna, do we need a written decision?
Yes.
We'll have a written decision
Very quickly.
very quickly. And I would indicate on the record that there's 30 days to file an appeal from today. That I'm setting the appeal period for today. I don't think this developer should have to wait longer than that because appeals take forever.
So Mr. Chair, your Board of Appeals ordinance says 45 days.
45 days?
To Superior Court.
You have 45 days, Mr. Appellant, to appeal our decision and from today. And I think us as a board, we have that ability to set the dates. That's what we're asked to do, and we did. I thank you all. Anybody have any comments? Adjourned. I vote to adjourn. Motion?
Do you want to do those minutes?
Oh, do I have to adopt minutes? I move to adopt minutes from the last meeting. All in favor? All opposed? I vote to adjourn. All in favor?
Yeah.
All opposed? We're out of here.